Where you want to go to first period, skip first period, you make choices every day. Those two things I've applied since 5 years ago, and that's kind of gotten me to where I am now. Now, the other things that I want to talk to you about, I want to talk to you about where I was 5 years ago in relation to where I am now, and then also how Bryant High School helped me throughout my career. So, 5 years ago, I was a student at South County High School. I was a football player, I was a basketball player. I did every sport you could think of. And I can remember the day that I found out the news that kind of started my nightmare. And it was over the summer. I walked into my house, and I remember vividly, like it was yesterday. My mother was in the pantry, she was crying. I was like, "Mom, what's wrong?" She said, "You know, nothing, don't worry about it, you're fine, you know, that doesn't deal with you." And I was like, "No, you gotta tell me what's wrong, So, basically what had happened was she had told me that my dad was diagnosed with ALS. And so, if you don't know what ALS is, it's Lou Gehrig's disease, it's a neurological disease. It slowly debilitates your ability to do everyday things. And that's when my nightmare started. So over the summer, I was a very selfish person. Over the summer, I started doing some stupid things. I didn't want to take care of my dad. I wanted to be a normal senior in high school. And so I can remember the things that I did. I can remember the nights that I would sneak out of my house and I would go break into people's cars. I can remember the times that I would go break into people's houses. And I can remember the time that I was caught. I broke into my high school and I stole over $1,000 worth of stuff. And if you look at where I am today as to where I was 5 years ago, I think there's a big change. People today don't believe me that I was expelled and I had 2 felonies. People don't believe me that I was on probation for a year. And it wasn't necessarily that I needed those things in life. It's the fact that I was dealing with a lot. And people don't understand the things that we go through. They don't understand the decisions that we make because all they see is the action. They don't see the person. They don't see what we have to deal with. And so, from moving on from being expelled, I remember the day, I was telling Mr. Jones, I remember the day I got that letter in the mail that said, "You're going to attend Bryant High School. You can finish out your schooling there. You're not allowed to be on any Fairfax County public school for 5 years." And so I can remember that, and I said, I'm not going to that school. That school is not for me. I can remember thinking, you know, that school is for troublemakers and people that have problems and issues. But I had no other choice. It was either go to school or not graduate. So I made a decision to come to Bryant. And I was surprised. I was surprised by the people that were here. I can remember, I don't know if he's here, Mr. Mead. I don't know if he's Mr. Mead. I can remember Mr. Mead, Dr. Bentley. I can remember those faces because when I came here, I thought it was going to be more like a prison. I thought it was going to be, I was here to be disciplined. And it wasn't. I had a more personal relationship with the people that I had here than I had at South County. They asked me questions like, "How's your mother? How's your father? How's your life? How are things outside?" And when I came here, all the friends that I thought I had, I didn't have after I was expelled. And so I made new friends. I can remember, here's a funny story. I can remember, I took the connector. How many of you guys take the connector to school? The bus. You have to pay $1 to get on. What?
$1.75.
$1.75. Raised it? It was $1. $1 to go in the morning and $1 to go back. And I can remember I had to get up probably about 5:30 every day, and you had to be at the bus stop at 6:15, and they ran every like 15 minutes. And I can remember about 2 months in at my stint at Bryant, I didn't have any friends, and I didn't have a lot of support except for the people that were in this building. And I remember missing the bus, and I lived with my uncle. He probably lives about a little less than 10 miles away, but he had a bike. So I took that bike at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I made it here by 8. And it was if you go up Telegraph Road, it's very hilly, and I made it here because I wanted to be at school. I wanted to be around the people that supported me. And I think that's a testament to the people that are at Bryant. And although the faces change, I don't think that the goals and the people here, I don't think that they really change. But moving on with my story about my life. So while I was here at Bryant, some people helped me out with my life, and I know Mr. Mead probably won't remember this, but I remember I was in class with him, and I said, "Why do you get dressed up every single day? And you're kind of underdressed today." Casual Friday. And he used to wear a suit. I don't know if he still wears a suit. And I would say, like, why do you get dressed up in a suit every day? And he said, I don't necessarily want to get dressed up in a suit every day, but I have to because it's part of my profession, and I'm going to do my job 100%. And I kind of took those words, and I know he wasn't really trying to give me advice, but I took those words and I apply it every single day now. But moving forward, I got accepted into VCU, and people at Bryant really pushed me to go, and I didn't really want to leave my family. I was actually kicked out of my house when I was a senior in high school, so I was living with my uncle. And when my first semester at VCU, I wasn't speaking to my parents. I was still in the doghouse, and I got an email from my father. My father could barely move, and he managed to send this email, and he says, "Brandon, your grandmother passed away. My grandmother had Alzheimer's. Your grandmother passed away. Her funeral's here, and please be there. Papa would really like you." And so I remember going to the funeral, and it was the first time that I'd seen my family in months, and that was kind of the beginning of the pain that I had to go through. And I'm sure this is very similar to the pain that you guys go through, because a little while later, I think maybe less than a year later, I get another phone call, and my other grandfather had stage 4 lung cancer. And so I get a phone call and say, "Hey, Grandpa died, so can you be there at the funeral?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." So, and so that was the second thing that happened. And so I'm sure that you guys have dealt with things like that too. But then a couple months later, I get another phone call from my mother. She said, "Your aunt, she committed suicide. She passed away, and her funeral's at this time." And so I'm sitting there thinking, like, man, who's next? God. So then I remember it was April 26, 2010, and I woke up probably around 9 or 8, and my little brother Josh had called me probably about 30 times. And so that obviously was normal. Right when I saw that, I said, I already knew what happened. So I called him back and said, "Dad, Josh, Dad passed away today. We'd really like for you to be here." And so I got up and left that day. I had class and stuff, and that's the extent of my pain. And I know that if I tell people my story, not many people really believe me. I tell them I was expelled 5 years ago. I had 2 felonies on my name: grand larceny and breaking and entering. I had to deal with the death of my grandmother, my father, my aunt, my grandfather. And they say, how did you graduate? How did you get to where you are? And I say there's 2 things that I did. There's success and there's choice. I had the success, the drive to be successful, and I made the choice. Because at one point in my life, Mr. Jones told me to talk about when did I decide to change? And there was never really a point where I decided to change. I can't remember that point. I can remember the nights that I would go to sleep crying. I can remember the nights that I wanted to go home and see my father. I can remember those nights, but I can't remember the day that I wanted to change. And I knew that I was at the bottom of the barrel. I was at the lowest of the low. And where I wanted to go was not, I did not want to stay. I did not want to stay where I was at. So I knew I needed to graduate high school. I needed to go to school. I needed to graduate college. I needed to do well in school. And that was the choice that I made. so my drive and those choices was success. I don't know how you define success, but my success, the way I see success is I want to live a happy life. I want to change people's lives. I want to put my print on this world. So when I pass away, the moment before I pass away, I can be content with everything I've done. And I think that when I was at the school, the people that I was around, they felt like Bryant was the end-all, be-all in school. They thought once they graduated here, there was nowhere to go. And that's incorrect. You guys have the opportunity to be blessed with the people around the school, Mr. Jones, and I know Jan McKee's not here, but she was a big factor with me and everything I've done. You guys have the opportunity to have such a great supportive staff that I encourage all of you to really strive to be successful in whatever you want to do. Find that passion, find that drive, find that goal, and really go about achieving it. Because I know people will always look at you and judge you and say, you know, oh, you went to Bryant High School, or oh, you graduated from an alternative school. Oh, you did this when you were in high school and you got in trouble with the law. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because there's two types of people. There's good people and there's bad people. And I can remember my uncle telling me that if you're a good person and you make a bad decision, it doesn't make you a bad person. And so if you're good people and you make bad decisions, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. And so I think that's the common misconception here. So I encourage all of you to find what you love to do in life and be successful. The last thing I'd like to leave you with is, when I graduated VCU, I remember I was telling Mr. Jones, I was a sophomore in school, I was studying econ. And if you guys know anything about econ, it's not very fun. It was macroeconomics. And so I was up at 3 in the morning, I probably had 6 cups of coffee, I was sitting there studying, and I was like, man, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I did business because I wanted to own my own business. And I was sitting there thinking, like, man, this is not what I want to do. And so I started thinking, well, what are the things that I like to do in life? And this is the moment that I found out what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I was sitting there thinking, like, well, I like playing sports, but obviously I'm not going to go to the league, or, you know, I'm not going to the NFL. So what can I do that involves sports? So I started thinking about that, and I said, well, no matter what, everything in life, I've always had a passion for basketball. So I emailed Coach Grant, who was the coach at the time, he's the head coach of Alabama now, and I sent him an email and I said, hey, I love basketball, I love being around the sport. If there's anything you can do, if there's anything I can help with, please let me know. And he shot an email back at 7 in the morning. I thought he was going to blow me off. He said, hey, come by the office, meet this guy. And it went on from there. So for the past 2 years, I was with VCU. My junior year, when Coach Smart was hired, we won the CBI National Championship. And last year, we beat, in the first 4, we beat USC, Georgetown, Purdue, who else did we beat? Florida State and Kansas to get to the Final Four. And it's a testament, that story is a testament to where I am now, because I guarantee you, every single person I met Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, I met Brad Stevens with Butler, I met John Calipari, and all those guys. And I guarantee you, if I told them that I was installed 5 years ago, none of them would have believed me. And if I told them I went to Bryant Alternative High School, none of them would have believed me. Or if I told them that, you know, I had 2 felonies in my name 5 years ago, no one would believe me. So it doesn't matter the situation that you're in. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what you did or what the decision was that you made to be at Bryant High School. Use the opportunity while you're here. Use the people that you're around. Use the friends that you have to have support, and really find what you like to do in life and be successful. And I encourage all of you, every single person in here, to go to college, because at the end of the day, in education is one of 2 things that appreciate in life. And appreciate is when things gain value. And education is one of the only things that appreciates in value. So I encourage all of you to go to school and go to college, because the opportunities that you will have there will be a lot more than the opportunities that you will if you don't. And I thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come back. Before I leave, I would like to tell you, introduce my family. Well, not all my family's here. I have a big family, but my mother came here to join. She could stand up real quick. My mother Carol, and my grandfather. He's got some rotating members. But I appreciate all of you guys' time. Like I said, success and choice, it's all about what you guys want to do. Make the right decisions and find what you like to do and be successful. I appreciate it.
I would like to thank Brandon for coming back and sharing his story with you.